Today we are going to be talking about how do we let go of those belief systems that we have that tend to create these stories in our mind. It's a big one. It's a huge one, and it's something that a lot of people aren't even aware of. Is what shapes the way we think and the way that that we form thoughts, or what are the things that drive us and motivate us, because they shape our values. And they shape sort of what we decide is important to us. So these are big ones. These are big things for us to just start to I'm just looking at some of these comments, guys. Okay. If you're here, let me know in the comments, because for some reason things aren't popping up for me here. Gotta love technology. Anyway. Okay. Still not really able to see who's here. So if you're here, please give me a little hi in the comments. Because if you have questions, I would absolutely love to answer the questions. If you're just tuning in, I am just mentioning about belief systems and what belief systems are. Belief systems are one of the main things that I talk about in my Inside of Healing program in week 1, and then continuing to mention it for the rest of the weeks, because, hello, Lindsay. Hey, Donna. So good to see you guys here. These belief systems are what drive us. They are the voices in our head that continue to drive us, okay? And these belief systems are formed from childhood, from our childhood. Again, they're things that it's not an intentional thing that our parents do or that we do for our own kids, but it is a repetitive pattern that we observe in childhood, or experiences in childhood, that create a belief system in our mind. Usually it's not a positive belief system, or it's a belief system that can be a very limiting thing in our lives, because it makes us, it creates the thoughts that pop into our head, the stories that go into our head, that are stories to protect ourselves. So I'm gonna go back a minute and just talk about sort of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is an old foundation, which is basically that underneath. So the first level, which is the basic level, is we need to know that we are fed and that our basic needs are being taken care of. But the second level is safety and security. So we need to feel safe and secure. And that, I will tell you, in all the work that I've done, so many people are stuck on that level. So the top of this pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there's a pyramid. On the top of the pyramid is self-actualization. And that's like what we're all looking for, right? We all want to have more ease, more flow, more connection, less worry. Hey, Julie, how are you? Less worry, less difficulty in our life. We really all just want to be happy and healthy and feel connected. That's our goal, right? And to do that, we need to self-actualize, which means that we need to understand ourselves, accept ourselves, and have awareness of ourselves, and be okay with who we are, knowing that we are aware of what we do, and we are aware of the fact that we can change what we do by changing our thoughts, right? Because our thoughts are really the foundation of it all. And so many of us, women especially, I don't know why we're so dang hard on ourselves, but we really are. And we're hard on other women, which is crazy. But let me just tell you, when we're hard on other women, it's because those women are presenting like a mirror to us. So when we start finding ourselves judging other women or judging other people, it's because something is showing up for ourselves. Now I'm going to bring that back to the whole safety and security piece. The safety and security piece is that our brain is constantly, our mind is constantly trying to make ourselves feel okay. They want to make us feel safe and secure. Our brain, our mind, wants us to feel safe and secure in any given moment. And by doing that, it creates these stories in our brain, and it creates these comparisons or these judgments, because we don't feel good about something. So these stories in our brain are to make us feel better about something, right? So if we can knock somebody else down, that's going to make us feel good. Not really, but that's the way that our brain functions. So a lot of the work that I do when I'm working with others, and I've done this for myself, and I constantly, daily do this for myself. I have to let you know, this is a practice. This isn't like a magic wand that I'm waving and saying, I'm going to take all your problems away. Heck no. I wish I could, but I can't, because I'm still working. I'm a work in progress. I have not self-actualized, but I'm working on it. Anyway, it's the first step is becoming aware of those thoughts, becoming aware of what it is that is popping into our brain. Why is that? And so Byron Katie's work, which I believe I've mentioned before, Byron Katie's work is questioning the stories in our mind to say, is this true? When we have something that comes up that makes us feel like, oh, like those negative thoughts, like I said, us women, we're so hard on ourselves. We have these negative thoughts constantly popping up into our head. And I will tell you, a lot of those negative thoughts come, could I please? Yes. Come from, Donna, you're saying, could I please what? Unless you're talking to one of your kids. Just specify that, and I'm happy to answer. Please ask me questions. Anyway, the thoughts that pop up in our head and the stories that we tell ourselves, 9 times out of 10 stem from a belief system from our childhood. And I'm going to go into what those belief systems are. And I will first share with you my belief system. So my belief system is that I'm not enough, that I'm not important. Now, this is something that shows up in my life. Even to this day, it shows up in my life. And I'll share with you how it shows up in my life now. But that belief system that I'm not enough came from my childhood. Now, I had wonderful parents. I had very loving parents. You know, I had my issues in childhood, don't we all? My parents were not perfect. They did the best they can doing with what they know. But there's a constant drive, right? And so that not enough belief system comes often from when you are criticized, or when you don't get attention for things, or you don't feel seen, don't feel heard as a child, right? Or if you have somebody overly critical of you, whether it's your mother, your father, again, not intentionally done all the time, but that belief system and that criticism early on usually creates this drive to prove to everybody that you are enough. And again, what goes with that I'm not enough is usually I'm not important, right? So that belief system drives still drives so many things and so many thoughts that I have. But the difference is now I'm able to say, hold on a second. Is this true? Is this always true? Right? For example, I'm a nurse, but that wasn't enough. People would say to me all the time, you're smart. Why don't you become a doctor? You know what? Because I didn't want to be a doctor. I wanted to be a nurse. So, but being a nurse wasn't good enough, right? To other people. And so in my mind made me question, was I good enough? Does that make sense? Give me a little if anybody's getting this. And then what would drive that is I was a constant overachiever, constantly trying to, pushing myself in school, pushing myself to get this certification, that certification, and so on, right? Trying to be the parent that showed up for everything and tried to, so it kind of goes along with this burnout that we get because we're constantly trying to do, have, be everything to everybody, and we never feel like we're enough. That's that belief system. And what happens with that belief system if we don't keep it in check? We burn out, right? We burn out because no matter what we do, it's never enough. So here's where the not important belief system, that I'm not important belief system, might show up. I think I've mentioned love languages before. My love language is, I'm glad it makes sense. Awesome, Lindsay. My love language is quality time. When my husband spends quality time with me, I am one of the happiest people I could be because I feel loved, right? My dad as a child, whenever I needed to talk or whenever I had something going on, would always say, come into my office. And he would literally give me his undivided attention. That to me was love, right? That's me. There's, I want to say, is it 5 or 7 belief systems? I think it's 5 beliefs, or sorry, not belief systems, 5 love languages. And again, they're also in and of themselves a form of a belief system, those love languages. Now, my husband's love language is affirmation. So somebody affirming to him and telling him how much they appreciate him, that shows him love. So the other day, my husband is sitting with me in our little sunroom on Saturday morning. We're having coffee, and we're like ships passing in the night sometimes, and I just wanted to sit down and chat and hang out and have a cup of coffee. Well, he brings his laptop, and he's got his laptop on his lap. He's sitting next to me on the little love seat, and we're talking, but my husband's on the computer. Now, is that quality time? He's sitting next to me. He thinks he's spending quality time, but he's distracted. And so I don't feel like I am, here it goes, there's the belief system, like I am important enough for him to want to spend time with me, undivided, that I'm not important to hold all of his attention. Now, that could have become a huge fight. That could have, the old me would have been ticked off at him, would have been resentful, angry, would have probably started a fight. But the new and improved me, who's gone through my programs and who has done all this work, knows that is I'm not getting my needs met, and that it's triggering that belief system in me that I'm not important. So what I did is I communicated with him. And I said, this is what I need. This is, when this happens, you are showing me in my mind, the story that's created in my mind is that I'm not important, right? So here's the letting go part. I could hold on to that and think that I'm not important to him, but this is where we have to let go of those limiting beliefs and acknowledge with awareness, oh, wait a minute. Nope, that's that belief system that's showing up. Yeah, I need him to be, more present in my life, but I know I'm important to him. He just doesn't know how to show me that I'm important. He can tell me that I'm important, but for me, I need somebody to show me. So we had a conversation about that, right? And I created awareness now in him, where he was like, I had no idea that that's what the story that was going on in your head. You're with me on this? Does this make sense? Hopefully. And then that not enough button gets pushed a lot. And again, I'm aware of it now. So I now can be like, oh, there goes that button. So when you're letting go of this belief system, I'm not necessarily saying that you're letting it go, you're surrendering, then you're saying, I no longer have this belief system. That's not what I mean by letting go of the belief system. What I mean by letting go of the belief system is letting go of the attachment to the belief system. So when we attach to a belief system and we believe that that is true, okay, then we believe that it's true that I'm not important, or it's true that my husband thinks I'm not important. Can you see where that could kind of spiral into me being miserable in a marriage, or me not getting my needs met in a marriage, and blah, 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 go down that path? I'm fine, by the way. Our marriage is fine. For all of you people that know me, we're good. Because we communicate and we talk about it, and because I am aware that that is the belief system. I am aware of what my needs are. That is everything that I teach in my Inside Out Healing program, is to connect to you and your needs, your messages, your belief systems, because once you heal those things inside of you and you become aware of it, then you can start to let go of control of things. You can start to realize that, oh, you know what? I can't control my husband. I can't control his actions, but I can control me and my reactions and my choices, right? I could swallow that emotion and that frustration and store it, or I can acknowledge it, communicate it to my husband in a way that he can receive it, right? Not yelling, you always blah, 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 but saying, okay, when you do this, it makes me feel this way. I know it's not your intention to make me feel that way, but I'm just letting you know that that's what the story is in my head. Do you see where I'm going with that? So, Does anybody have any questions so far? I'm going to touch on some other belief systems, but if you have any questions so far, please drop it in the chat, because I really want this to be interactive. I really want to be able to answer, because this is deep, heavy stuff. It really is. This is stuff that people work on forever to try to figure out. And some of the best healers, I just had a conversation with a dear friend of mine, a colleague of mine today, who does phenomenal work with people with healing. But I asked, we were talking about relationships, and she's ending another relationship, and I said, what is your belief system about relationships, do you think? Like, what is your belief system about men? And she was like, I never really thought about that. I really don't know. So this is what I'm trying to say, is like, these belief systems show up in our life in so many different levels. And once you acknowledge that these belief systems keep showing up, and again, if you're talking energy in the body and chakras, this is the root chakra. This is the chakra number 1. This is the first chakra, because this is childhood. This is your connection to who you are and to where you come from, right? This is how you were raised. I have this flower graphic that I created, and at the you can see it in the background there. At the base of the flower is the belief system and nurturing, and the way you were nurtured creates the belief system, and then the stem going up to the flower are your values. Both your belief system and the way you were nurtured will impact what you value. You with me on that? And then the flowers, the petals of the flowers, are nutritional health, physical health, mental health, spiritual health, and environmental health. And so those are the parts of a whole person. But your values and what you put emphasis on all come from those belief systems and the way you were nurtured. Are you with me on that? And obviously you can't change how you were nurtured. You can just make changes on what that does for you right now, right? Like how it impacts your choices and how it impacts your value system. And you can question what you were raised with and what you truly believe, what your experience is when you have an open mind, what your experiences teach you. Yes? Okay, so going into a couple more belief systems. So again, touching on that, I'm not important. So any of you who know me or who have had any experience with me, I have 4 boys. My oldest son has a belief system that came not intentionally from our raising him, but because of the experiences of his childhood, because he had 2 brothers that were really sick. So my second son had a massive stroke at birth, and my oldest son saw the challenges with that, and saw sort of some times that were a little scary when he was an infant. And then my third son had leukemia. So my older son, because he saw his younger siblings needing my attention more, wanted to make sure he wasn't a burden for me. He wanted to make sure that he didn't want to bother me, because he saw that my other sons needed my attention and he felt like he was capable. But what happened was the belief system came up of, I'm not important. So my oldest son has that belief system of, I'm not important, or that I'm not enough, but more his is, I'm not important. And that was not an intentional thing on our part. It was just like, okay, you good? You good? Because these guys aren't good. And now, or when he became a teenager and he started storing stuff, not wanting to bother us, he got into some tough time. And so I went from doing all this work, and I would say about 10 years ago at least, from doing all this work, I was aware of this belief system that was created in him. And so I did everything I could to acknowledge to him, you are important. Just being you, you're important. I love you just as much as I love everybody else. And I'm going to do the best I can to show you that more. Are you with me on that? And so he still has this belief system, but now he goes, okay, I'm important. I actually wrote these mantras out for them. And one Valentine's Day, that's what I gave everybody, is based on their belief systems. I wrote them a little mantra to say, Like, I am important, just being me. That's the mantra to counter that. Or I am enough, just being me. That's a mantra to counter that when that belief system shows up. Okay? And so anyway, that's the letting go part, is to bring awareness to what is your belief system. And how that belief system creates these stories in our head. Hopefully my examples were helping you there. I'm going to share with you a little bit more of different things. So, for example, if you grew up in a household where there was maybe some substance abuse or some emotional abuse going on, or some sort of imbalance, let's say, with one of the parents, and there was behavior, let's say, when somebody is an alcoholic or on drugs, it's hard to trust that person. And usually when you have a parent in your life, you want to be able to trust that person. But when you're raised where maybe one parent is in denial of the other parent having a substance problem, then the belief system that is created inside of you is that you can't trust people because you've had to rely on yourself, or that people let you down, right? So this person that's supposed to be trustworthy, I can't trust. So I can't trust anybody. So I got to rely on myself, right? So the belief system is that you pretend things are well, but you kind of keep this wall around you because the belief system is, I can't trust anybody. I can only trust myself, right? And can you see how that belief system can really mess your life up a little bit if you surrender to that belief system, or if you attach to that belief system? So the letting go part would be saying to yourself, okay, this person in my life, whether it's your mother, your father, or uncle, or whatever, this person in my life that meant a lot to me had a problem. And that was that person's problem. It was not my problem. But that person I couldn't trust. So it's not all people I can't trust. It's that person showed me I couldn't trust them. So you have to acknowledge that there's a reason why you couldn't trust that person. But I can trust myself, right? I trust myself, and I trust myself to open to those who I can trust. Okay? I can work that even better, but for this purpose, I'm just trying to explain how you can let go of the attachment to that belief and shift the way that you think of things once you acknowledge that this is the belief system and this is why I have this belief system. You guys with me so far? Okay. Another one would be like, let's say a parent comments about your body, right? Especially I see this with moms a lot with daughters. You're going to get fat, or you're putting on a little bit of weight there, or, especially when our bodies change and develop, there can be some inadvertent body shaming. Okay. I've seen it happen with people. I've had that experience myself. And the belief system comes from, it's like the belief system becomes, I have to hide my body, right? That it's that almost like a body shaming, a fear of sexuality and a fear of being seen. So like the belief system is, I can't be seen. I have to stay in the background. I don't want to call attention to myself. I have to hide a little bit. Are you with me on that? And, overly critical, I told you about that. Let's say that you see, as a child, you saw maybe a dysfunctional relationship between a man and a woman, or you saw overly violent man to a woman. And I'm mostly speaking to women here because this is a mom's group. So I'm going to talk like it's but I'm not, I just want to be clear. I'm not being sexist or anything like that. I don't mean to be. But let's say that you, growing up, you saw abuse in your home, or you saw violence, or you saw men being violent, or your father being violent, or something, right? The belief system that comes up from that is that all men are dangerous. right? Men are dangerous, or men can't be trusted, right? So it becomes a belief system that oftentimes will make it really difficult for you to have a relationship, right? I had a client of mine tell me one time that she was raised that all men will leave you, like all men will leave you. So that was like her mother's thought and belief system, and she would say that, and that was her mother's stuff. But when you hear that as a child, and when you're taught that as a child, it becomes a belief system. So this person obviously had trouble with relationships. And again, once she learned that that was a belief system of hers that she didn't have to attach to, that she could change, she was able to open herself up to relationships, and she'd be clear about that. Like, okay, this was my experience. This is a belief system that came from my experience. So I'm working on changing that belief system. So work with me here, right? And it's a vulnerable place, right? And it's really important that we acknowledge the belief system and that we allow ourselves, with people that we trust to, or we're trying to trust, to be a little bit vulnerable, right? So then we can let them know, like, this is me. It's not you. It's me. Another belief system is I've seen this with people that I know. I've experienced this. Luckily, I haven't experienced this in my life. I had parents that were very present in my life, but I have seen where people, especially like working dads, working moms, aren't necessarily present in their child's life, and they miss certain events and opportunities or things that are really important to their child. And there's disappointment. Let's say, those movies that you watch where, the kids got the Christmas pageant and looking up, or dance recital looking up, waiting to see her, her father or usually her father in the audience, and she's looking and no one's there. So they're really bummed out. And again, after a while, the belief system becomes, you can't rely on anybody, right? You're just going to be disappointed. So the belief system becomes, you can only rely on yourself, right? You can't rely on anybody else. And that belief system creates almost like this armor around yourself, or this wall around yourself where you don't let people get too close. And again, that's difficult for relationships. Now, I am not a psychologist. I am not a therapist. I'm an energy worker, and I'm a whole health educator. But I do have experience with a lot of this stuff, and it's stuff that, in my own way, I work through with people, because I really believe that belief systems really do shape our thoughts. And when we can become aware of the thoughts and question those thoughts, we can start to take back control of our own life, right? We can start to take back control over those thoughts and shift those thoughts and shift our perspective and realize that, in a warrior mom perspective, there is no battle. Everything's fine, right? And then all of a sudden we can take our foot off the gas a little bit. We don't have to be in like fight or flight. We can be like, okay, you're safe. You're safe right now, right? That belief system is not true. So hopefully that makes sense. Does anybody have any questions? I know I've lost a couple of people, but that's okay. I know people will watch this on a replay. If you're watching this on the replay and you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, I believe so strongly in the concept of belief systems, and in acknowledging your belief systems as one of the first, or becoming aware of your belief systems as one of the first steps towards healing, because it saves so much drama when you acknowledge, there's that belief system again. And then you let that attachment to the belief system go. And you let that thought go, knowing that it's not true, right? Am I enough? I am enough. I know I'm enough. Are there moments that show up in my life that make me feel like I'm not enough? Heck yeah, it's called parenting. But when we have those moments, we have to say to ourselves, I am doing the best that I can with what I have in this moment. And that is enough. So with that, I'm going to leave you with that thought and ask you to just think about where some of these belief systems might show up in your life and what might these belief systems go. And usually it's something that can be this like negative, I call it a gremlin, this negative thought in your head that can create this story in your head. It's usually something that's repetitive, that shows up often, or that drives you, right? As I said, my not enough is, I got to work out with the drives. Like, I got to work out harder. I got to be stricter about what I eat. I've got to slim down. I've got to, make sure that all my kids are doing what they're supposed to do and check these boxes and make sure my kids are all happy. Check. Make sure I'm all happy. Check. And when somebody's not happy, I'm not enough to make them happy, right? It's not my job to make people happy. It's my job to be there for them, to support them, but it's their job to make themselves happy, just like it's my job to make myself happy. So all we can control is ourself. Our awareness, our thoughts are some of the biggest tools that we have in our toolbox and the biggest choices we have in the moment to either attach to or to let go. So, once you figure out what your belief system is and it shows up, question it, and then don't attach to it. Let it go. All right? If you have any questions, please reach out to me. And again, if you want to know more about my Inside Out Healer program, message me. I'd love to tell you about it. It's an 8-week program. It's online. It's a group coaching program where you watch some video modules, and I've got a workbook and everything that goes with it. But it's 8 weeks, and it's pretty powerful stuff. We dig deep into this stuff, but let me tell you, it's transforming. When you go from sort of not understanding why you do the things you do and looking to control everything outside of you, to tuning in and really getting clear on what you, oh, thanks, Winnie. When you really get clear on tuning into what drives you, what your values are, and what you can control, and then you start to let go of what you can't control, and you start to shift the way you perceive things, you learn to be more present in your life. It is transforming for your own life and for your children's lives and for the lives of the people that are around you. Because once you calm the chaos inside of you, that calm will ripple out to everybody outside. So, if you want to know more about it, please reach out to me, message me, and I'd love to have a chat with you and tell you all about it and see if it's the right fit for you. All right? But in the meantime, work on those belief systems. I'm happy to help anybody. If you want to shoot me a message again, I'm happy to help you work through what those belief systems are, if that's something of interest for you. And other than that, I wish you a really good night, and hopefully this was helpful. Have a great night, everybody.